feather, light, work, asking, answer, accepting, honoring, all we are, earth to star.
Happy New Year, fun friends! You're just driving home from a fireside gathering and, reflecting on the past year and looking forward to the future. And we're resonating with the idea of one really big, obvious, glaring focal point that we wanted to call in for ourselves, for our self-care, for our prosperity, for our peace of mind, for our flow, for all the ways it blesses us up. And that's meditation. Meditation, possibly the simplest action and the most profound, the greatest, the number one self-care practice, the most rewarding practice, the most meaningful practice. It's a practice of not doing, just being,
For me, it cleans the plate. It cleans the slate. It's clarity through calmness, and presence is the gateway to get there for me. So meditation for me is carving out that time to check in and just be as still and as present and available to myself. And if I get off track or I find myself in a state of worry, I usually go back to gratitude, which is super helpful. And sometimes I'm not even motivated to get to that place of meditation, and then I'll start with gratitude. But currently, my meditation practice needs a recommitment, or I desire a recommitment. And not just a recommitment as in I'm not meditating at all, because that's not entirely true. But it's a recommitment to the consistency and regularity. Here's my body agreeing. It's a recommitment to a consistency and a regularity to serve me in the highest and best and navigate my space and my grounding into a sacred structure that will serve me in a good way.
Yeah. When you talk about sacred structures, I think you just nailed it, and you just pinpointed something really big. Just real quick before you answer that question, what a sacred structure is, I just want to say, like, the way it shows up for me, I just see, healthy habits and the patterns we set in motion through repetition. And, when we do that for ourselves, we create a structure and a pattern that almost develops like a muscle memory and something we can, sink into. We just know it. It's just a part of our day to day, and there's an ease that comes there. It's the contrary to every other thing that the media is telling us to do, every other thing that our earthly desires are telling us to do. And not very many things are reminding us to slow way down, be quieter, just be present, be still, just be receptive. These are not common reminders. So committing as a daily practice to something so radical as a meditation, it is one of those sacred structures that puts a new pattern in motion, creates like a totally new way of being. It's like I see it just like opening new doors for new paradigm, like a whole new take on life, because I see the glimpses of meditation's majesty showing up and shaping my life in a really positive way Whenever I'm worrying, I choose meditation. Whenever I'm anxious, I choose meditation. But now I want to, every single day, reserve time, devote some time, carve out, identify a time that I can do every single day to have that dedicated time for silence and stillness and quiet, to just let those thoughts and those actions and those dreams just go away, have their rightful place way out there, instead of like dominating my earthly existence every single day. Like, this I have to do, this I have to do, this person needs me, this task needs my attention. Sorry, that's a lot of words. Will you describe what sacred structure means to you?
Absolutely. So I think there's a couple big pieces to this, and this is really like a construction or a deepening our relationship with the understanding in the parts of us that are masculine, and the masculine energies within our lives and within ourselves, because there are, even though there's a lot of gender equality and we navigate this big social concept around gender and gender identity and all these really big pieces, but the reality is that in our beings, in our bodies, in our genetic makeup, parts of us are masculine and parts of us are feminine, and they have certain different energy signatures that work together for a reason and to create certain things within our being, and for us to be able to work together in harmony and create a harmonic bliss, and therefore create a level of frequency that can then create our whole realities effortlessly. So with that being said, a sacred structure is that masculine part of that. So with the recommitment to meditation on a regular basis, bringing in consistency. When we bring in consistency, we create confidence through action. So regular action creating confidence. And such a big piece of our quality of life is dependent on how much we're trusting ourselves and trusting our environment and trusting to make these decisions. So that comes through this level or frequency of confidence. So anytime we can feel more confident about a choice we're making, or, the regular healing we're bringing into our lives, the more we can have confidence in ourselves and our intuition when the most simplest of things arise. And, and that in return creates a better quality of life by following through with, receiving the information that comes through our intuition and our gifts in general. So things like consistency create that safety it's a safety through confidence and like all of these foundational rooted energies that when activated in a good way and radiate through every single part of our body, and then therefore in our reality, can just make for just really effortless creation. That's kind of that in a nutshell. And there's other different qualities that I'm sure are really prevalent that I haven't touched on, but those are just some of the reasons why structure can be very freeing, because there's a ton of safety if those structural elements are in place. But also too, it is a balance, because you have those feminine pieces, which are that flow, that, movement. And so therefore, if you have those kind of things in place, if you're committed to meditating every day, you are meditating every day. As those things arise in your experience, you've taken some things off the plate so you can tolerate more, or you can process more quickly. If we're walking around maxed out every day, or just at a higher level of energy or even stress or whatever it may be, this meditation piece, we're doing that every day, and we can take a little bit off the top. We can reduce our anxiety. We can relax our nervous system. We can support our limbic system. We can come into a place of physical alignment. And what that means is, with all the extra stress in our bodies, our systems are now operating at a higher function, a more optimal function. So our hormones are producing at a better rate because we're not struggling with cortisol or extra cortisol in our system. They're producing the normal regulation hormones that we need, or for women, for us, it's estradiol, or men, it's testosterone. And those are really big pieces of our brain chemistry that help us actually physically be happy, let alone spiritually or emotionally.
when you describe sacred structures as a masculine trait, I agree. I think that is kind of a divine masculine quality. It's interesting to me to consider the sacred structure in a devoted time and a practice, a daily regimen of meditating, that masculine container around a feminine action, which is meditation. I didn't really think of it that way until just now, but now that I think about it, meditation is like pure feminine. It's got divine feminine radiating out of it. Now that I think about it, it's a surrender to the mystery. It's a total embrace, acceptance of what is. It's not a desire to shape things or create things. It's just a free surrender to what is. And it's even a desire to be in the void of it all. It's actually a desire. It's desirable in my experience to let those thoughts drift away. Actually let them go away, drift away until there's absence of thought. That's a desirable state to achieve. And that comes with practice. But that state of being in the dark, basically, that feels like divine feminine, if I ever heard of anything like it, Let's talk about the gift of meditation. Wow. One of the reasons why I want to talk about this is because it's such an obvious benefit to me. It brings me so much remedy. It so often is exactly the remedy for whatever ails me. And the common ailments for me are anxiety, overwhelm, worry. These things are like stressors that create a hand in front of my face. And in a simple way of putting it, meditation creates a distance from that stressor, puts that stressor in its right place, way out there, alongside all these other things, all these other, cluttered thoughts and actions and deeds and hopes and dreams and desires. Puts it way out in the field, puts it, it so often I'm like in this mode of do, put this fire out. It's almost like an emergency state, and it shows up, it affects my sleep,
So can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So this is a lot of times, I'm not a doctor, I can't prescribe or diagnose, but usually this is a syndrome, is this fight or flight syndrome. This is when like the renals are going crazy, and it's actually like you feel like you're in that space of trying to survive. It's a survival technique. And so we call that the sympathetic nervous system. And so when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, you're in the fight or flight mode. So you're producing, hormones you don't need, like cortisol, like we were just talking about, like your adrenaline is running through your blood. And, so really easy way to, as we're kind of doing that, the meditation is a great way, because when you're going into that meditation, you can lower your own heart rate and get into the parasympathetic nervous system, where your nervous system relaxes out of fight or flight, and then it returns back to that, close to that homeostasis, and then actually changes alchemy process within your body. So a really quick way to get there is breath. And with meditation, usually it's breath, so it kind of all comes together. But essentially, if we relax the nervous system, we can relax all that's causing chaos within inside of us. So it's like, even that's what I love about meditation, is that I might be, and if I'm in a mood or in a place in a situation and I can't get a hold of it, I don't have to go at it in an intellectual way or process it if I can't, if it's becoming a challenge. I mean, that's going to be my first go-to. But if I'm not making any headway and I'm still in distress, going at it from something like breath work and then into meditation, that's going to just slow down my nervous system, shift myself into a parasympathetic nervous system, relax my limbic system, and everything's going to calm down and chill anyways, just because I'm rebalancing the hormones in my body. So you bring meditation into that, or as a big part of that, re-regulating your nervous system.
There was a time, when I didn't know how to meditate. Meditation arrived in my life in my early 20s. I was just kind of stumbled upon a group that meditated, and we read books by Thich Nhat Hanh, and the way we did it is we would circle up and we would have a dedicated amount of time to silence, utter silence. And then we would have a period of walking meditation where we would just walk in a simple circle. And then we would read a passage from a book, and then we would reflect. And we would basically go around the circle and share. And it was so rich. What a wonderful practice. That practice is modeled by Thich Nhat Hanh. He's one of my greatest influences. I really love him. He wrote so many awesome books. You know, he has this one book that compares the Buddha to Jesus, and there's really awesome truths in there. And one of them is that Jesus speaks in the present moment. Jesus speaks in present tense in his words, in the words that are attributed to Jesus, they're present. Mm-hmm. If you look, it's true. And and that's really interesting, you know. Presence is what it's all about, you know. Meditation is presence. And there's a lot of ways to be present. There's also a lot of ways to meditate, of course. You know, there's moving meditation. There's meditating while you're washing the dishes. My introduction was Thich Nhat Hanh. Breathing in, I relax my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in this present moment. I know this is a beautiful moment. You know, mantras like that. There's breath work. There are actually meditation coaches, which is hilarious, I think, because meditation is the simplest thing. And it makes sense that there are coaches because we get in our own way and we have these limiting beliefs that we need instruction and we don't understand. We have hangups about it. We question whether or not this is worth our time. Why is this valuable? It almost needs an introduction from a trained practitioner in order to surrender to this practice of stillness. But we who meditate recognize the gift in it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me, when I was first starting in meditation, I was like, boring. You know, like my ego wants to be doing. And then I would be sitting there with a flash of insight and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to write that down. Or I'd be like, there's an answer to the question, and go and put out that fire. You know, there's a lot of ways to meditate. One way is to concentrate our thoughts, put our energy into something, focus our energy into a problem, for example. That's actually a variety of meditation, but that would be more considered concentration in my mind. There's another type of meditation that is purely listening. It's not trying to achieve anything. It's just quieting the thoughts. The whole goal is to quiet all the thoughts. Some meditation coaches talk about the breath, the importance of the breath. Just go back to the breath. I don't even think that's good advice for me personally. That might be really helpful for some people, but to each their own, right? As it relates to me, I recognize that my breath, my breathing is on autopilot. I don't have to think about my breathing. My breathing is happening naturally. Sure, I might bring breath work into my meditation. I, in fact, do have this ultra deep, luxurious breath that I love, but that practice is one meditation technique of many. I think it's, for me, ideal to even get beyond my breath, beyond any kind of state of sensory experience, beyond my eyes, ears, bodily function, and just be in spirit. I think it's the truest version of who I am. I think I'm able to access a level of consciousness beyond the collective consciousness, beyond the mad swirl of this worldly ways and the weight of the world. It's totally its own thing. It's not the consciousness. It's not the universe. It's something different. It's spirit. It's home. It's that home place. It's like truer than the whole universe. It's truer than the galaxy. It's truer than this flesh and bone, you know? It's something deeper. It blesses me up because it distances me from whatever I might be worrying about or contemplating or struggling with, and just lets me be. In my soul, I'm healthy, well, free, perfect, pure, completely holy, right? In my soul, I'm a child of the divine. There's nothing wrong with me. There's no room for improvement. I just am. I'm in a pure love state inside my soul. That's the way I see it. So anyway, I'm like acclimating to these greater truths. I'm acclimating to the truth with a capital T when I meditate. However small my baby steps are in contemplating that truth with a capital T, I am taking a baby step in that direction. That's the way I feel about it. Sometimes it feels like I'm doing nothing. Sometimes it feels like I'm not making any progress. I'm just purely wasting time. But in the bigger picture, that time I see is well spent. And in the bigger picture, I see for my future, for this new year, a dedicated practice every single day of reserving time for stillness, reserving time to acclimate myself to the quiet, to that actionless state, to that simple state of just being. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, and that's exactly something, I find great value in that. I think the more and more that we show up in that way, it has all its own benefits, and we can therefore reap those benefits mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. However, just by even that simple action, the amount of trust we start to establish is we already have a good amount of trust. But now we start to establish the amount of trust in ourselves by showing up every day, by saying we're going to do something and holding true and following through for ourselves. Because there's a lot of trauma around all the places that people didn't follow through for us. But that starts to, heal more and more and deeper in those ways because we start to have trust in ourselves. And it's just like when we can go back to those moments in our middle school years and our younger years and send those versions of ourselves love and heal. In those ways, we can continue to establish this consistency and generate trust between ourselves and what we desire and how we choose to grow and how we choose to become more of ourselves and how we choose to increase the quality of our life by valuing our peace and clarity and choosing those actions that represent the ability to get there and the ability to maintain a level of clarity that keeps us closer and closer to bliss, really, truly.
At this point, we want to acknowledge that we're really sleepy in this moment. It's New Year's Day. It's night of New Year's Eve.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
And we're just really sleepy. And that's sometimes the trip with meditation. We're just exhausted. We're just too sleepy. We fall asleep when we meditate. That's one of the things, like, would I rather meditate or go to sleep? Sleep.
Meditation in the morning seems to serve me in a good way.
Yeah. I'm just remembering there's a lot of excuses not to meditate, right?
Yeah. I'd rather try and get a little time in before I fall asleep than nothing at all.
Yeah, for me, I'm just seeing that morning is a good time for me to do meditation. That's when I like to do sun salutations and just take care of myself,
Yeah.
What better way is there to take care of myself than meditation?
Absolutely. I have a lot of enhanced clarity and intuition and extremely intense messaging post-orgasm, to be completely honest.
Is that your favorite time to meditate?
Mm-hmm.
During sex or after?
Well, I guess both, but after is really more of a meditation period than during because I'm still in a space of action or receiving or stimulation.
Yeah, I would call it meditative, I guess. I'm in an afterglow state, like feeling so charged and euphoric and invigorated and just feeling a lot of feelings, feeling really in touch with my heart. It is much like meditation, and lovemaking is meditative for sure. And I want to have a dedicated, like I said, there's a lot of ways to meditate. And I want to have a dedicated space to meditate the old-fashioned way, just quiet, seated meditation, exercising that good straight posture. For me, I built up a stamina, like an ability to sit in lotus posture, and it creates this perfect tripod. It's like this ancient seating posture that I can just sit in for ages. There's some good old-fashioned ancient, again, sacred structure in that full lotus posture that is totally designed for meditation. I even heard that yoga as a practice is all about training the body to be able to meditate, to be able to sit in the meditation. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. Another side effect of meditating is connecting with guides and guardians, benevolent spirits, inspiring deities. Sometimes in that quiet state, a flash of insight, an angelic presence, a spirit ally comes and speaks. For me, sometimes it's like a frequency that becomes a melody. That melody becomes a song, and it becomes a huge gift and a medicine for me in so many different ways. There's tremendous gifts of clarity and insight and answers, and also just stillness, just space. That space comes with so many gifts, like peace of mind, freedom, the ultimate freedom, right?
Yeah, the ultimate freedom is not being stuck in large in the physical body, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly the point I wanted to return to. We could ask ourselves, why would we want to waste our time when we're here on earth for a reason? Mm-hmm. When we're here in these earth bodies, why would we waste any time being in our spirit? Why would we waste any time worrying about our soul? We'll have all of eternity to worry about our soul. Well, let's be present in our bodies right now while we have a chance. In this brief time while we're embodied, let's focus on being in our body. Yeah, I get that point. And I find that when I put my thoughts on spirit, when I put my contemplation on who I am as a soul, it helps me in my earth walk so much. It helps me to find my way, learn how to take good care of myself, learn how to harmonize with my surroundings by understanding, if I can understand, by contemplating, by imagining, by wondering, by following my curiosity, by exploring who I am as a soul and who I am in relation to the Great Spirit. Then I'm more capable of handling the wobbles on this earth, because I know that my life is not temporary. Mm-hmm. My soul is eternal. I also don't have to worry about the, feelings of loss, feelings of separation, feelings of loneliness, because I got everything. My love cup is full because I'm accessing my home place, home with a capital H, when I choose to. Those are the types of life-changing miracles that happen when we contemplate what spirit is, and it's meditation that brings us there. Mm-hmm. There's no text, there's no song that can unravel these mysteries for us. It's in that quieting of our minds, it's in that unique interpretation of the divine, it's in that personal witnessing, personal experience each one of us can potentially have, and meditation is what gets us there.
I totally agree. And that consistency, so much medicine in the consistency.
And, I'll say it again, presence is the only thing my kids ask for. My presence with them. My presence is the greatest gift I can give to anyone else in my life too. My presence is the greatest gift I can give to myself. In my meditative state, I'm being present with what is. Sometimes I'm suffering, sometimes I have like a physical ailment, maybe a headache, and I'm being real with it. I'm looking at it. I can see it in that meditative state. I can feel it out. And I find that it takes the pain away. Like when I look at it, when I really feel it, it takes away the frustration of that pain. It takes away the, like the fear of that pain having devastating damage in the long term, bringing me closer to my death. It takes away those types of traumas associated with a pain, and puts them in its right place, way out in the realm of all possibilities, way out there, and takes the suffering away. And then I'm just here with my headache, with a soft gaze, non-judgment, totally detached, practicing, what's that called?
Compassionate neutrality.
Compassionate neutrality, even toward myself, even toward what's ailing me. No, non-judgment, not trying to change it, just witnessing it. And that creates its own remedy somehow, by some mystery. When I feel it, I heal it.
Mm-hmm. It's an alchemic process. You shift the actual frequency.
So, yeah, I mentioned, I look to Jesus as an example a lot, and that talk about alchemy, turning water to wine, this miraculous person. According to this book by Thich Nhat Hanh, which compares Jesus to Buddha, he made it abundantly clear that Jesus meditated. Here's this exemplary person we're looking to as an example, and he took that time in stillness. That's a beautiful thought, and I hope that it can be a door opening insight for someone out there, just like it was for me. Because somewhere in my arrogance as a Christian, I didn't allow myself to do these radical new age practices like meditating at one point. I was closed to it. And wow, I was really missing out and putting a limiting belief and a real silly restraint on possibilities for myself by thinking I knew better, thinking there was only one way to connect with the divine or whatever. I'm trying to be more open-minded and open-hearted and not pretending like I know it all. I'm trying to be more surrendered to the mystery and more accepting.
Vulnerable to your authenticity.
Vulnerable, yeah, authentic. And my authenticity says I don't know it all. I don't have to know.
Mm-hmm.
All the books I've read don't have all the answers. There's so many untold answers, and I don't need to access them all, but I do feel liberated. I feel free when I quiet down and I just be. I am. That's about as simple and true a statement as we can make. God is. Love exists. These are some of the greatest truths, some of the biggest liberating doses of reality that I know. I am. I am. I am.